Hi. It has been a minute since I sat down to record something. So hi guys. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you've never been here before. Today we are going to talk about my fall TBR. Usually I would do a monthly wrap-up and a TBR. I just haven't been sticking to my TBRs, so this month I decided to make one that has a lot of books that I already own so that maybe I'll buy less, or books that I will get out from the library either already have on hold or already have out. It's not fall yet, it's August 23rd. It won't be fall for a month. I'm prepping for fall because in my head it's basically fall already, and I'm done with summer. I'm done with it. Before we get into my fall TBR, I am just going to briefly run through some of the things that I've read lately. So in July and August, I read Butcher and Blackbird, Leather and Lark, Powerless by Elsie Silver. I gave that 4 stars. Butcher and Blackbird and Leather and Lark, I gave both of those 4 stars as well. I read Metzengerstein, probably pronouncing that wrong, by Edgar Allan Poe. It's like a short story. It was like 10 pages. More on Edgar Allan Poe later. And then I read Gothicana by Rue Nix, and I gave that 4 stars. And I read, I want to talk about this book. We're going to talk about this book. Last weekend, I think. Yeah, last weekend. I was getting over being so sick. I had a fever of 101 degrees Fahrenheit. Last week while I was recovering from that, I read this book by Haunted Ever After by Jen DeLuca. Guys, I loved this. This was my gateway to fall for romance especially. It's about Cassie, and she moves from Orlando, Florida, which is a city if you don't know, to a small town on the coast. Small little teeny tiny town, everybody knows each other kind of town. And she moves into a house that is haunted, and she doesn't realize it's haunted when she buys it. She didn't actually go and visit it. She did a virtual tour of it and then goes and moves in. She keeps going to the local coffee shop where she meets Nick, and they become friends, and he kind of like tells her the ghost stories. It's well known in this town that there are ghosts and that the town is haunted, and she doesn't believe him at first, and then a couple plot twists happen, and it was just really cute and fun. I'm a sucker for a paranormal romance, so if you have any recommendations, I've read Ashley Poston, so don't recommend Ashley Poston, but any other recommendations, please let me know, because I love paranormal romance. I gave that 4.5 stars. Before we get into my fall TBR, I wanted to just talk about what I am currently reading. This is not all of the books that I'm currently reading. I have a habit of reading way too many books at once, so this is evidence of that. Let's start off with, I've read about 1 chapter of Piranesi by Susanna Clark. I'm really excited to get into reading this more. I just haven't had much time to sit down and read it. And then on the paranormal romance side of things, a novel love story by Ashley Poston, which released a couple months ago, I think, but I finally got the copy from my library. It was on hold for forever. I haven't read The 7-Year Slip, but I loved The Dead Romantics, and I do want to read 7-Year Slip. This just sounded more up my alley. And then the last thing that I'm currently reading, I have to start it and finish it by next Saturday, is Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. And I am saying that I have to start it and finish it by next Saturday because like a makeshift book club type thing that I'm a part of is reading it, and the live streams are next Friday and Saturday. I will be working during the Friday one, so I have to go to the Saturday one. I have to actually start reading the book. We've known about this for months, and we finally set a date like a month ago, and now I have to actually read it. And now we will get into my actual fall TBR. Starting off strong with a book that's been on my TBR for 2 years almost. Saints of the Household by Ari Tyson. I did actually start reading this. I read like a chapter or 2 on a reading sprint live stream a couple weeks ago, but I just like wasn't in the right mood for it. It was really, really good, and I think if I had had time to sit there and really get into it that day, I would have, but I didn't. So now it's going back on my TBR, and hopefully I will actually read it this time. This is about two Bree boys in Minnesota who break up a fight and grapple with the weight of their actions and its impact on their lives and relationships. Next is a book that I have from the library right now, and that is Ring by Koji Suzuki, and I am so sorry if I mispronounced that. This is the book that the movie is based off of. I've not read the movie. I have not watched the movie, nor have I read the book, obviously. I am trying to kind of get into horror a little bit, and I have been definitely reading more horror because I never read horror before. Okay, the next few are ones that I have digitally and not physically, so I will put them over here in editing in post. The first one I actually started today at lunch, but then somebody came and joined me for lunch, so I read a few pages, and that is The Daughter of Dr. Moreau by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is historical horror sci-fi about Carlota Moreau, the daughter of either a genius or a madman, as it said in the Goodreads description, and the chain reaction set off by the son of Dr. Moreau's patron arriving. A lot of these are going to be really vague. Oh my gosh, I didn't even explain Ring. I'll get back to that. I am intentionally leaving a lot of these summaries vague because a lot of them are horror, and like I don't want to know too much about them going into it, and I don't want to ruin it for you should any of you decide to pick this up. Ring, the summary that I wrote down for Ring is: a video warns that the viewer will die in a week unless a certain unspecified act is performed. A journalist's niece dies 1 week after watching the tape, and so do her friends, and he, the journalist, takes on solving the mystery of the tape. Next is another book that I have started and not finished but really want to read, and it's nonfiction, which I keep saying I want to read more nonfiction. So it is Beloved Beasts by Michelle Nijui. I am so sorry if that is not how you pronounce it. And it is a nonfiction book, like I said, about the history of the conservation movement in the United States. As someone with an environmental science degree, I care a lot about conservation, and I want to know more details. Like, I know a lot of the stuff that she's talking about I have briefly learned about, or briefly like read books about, or like pages in a textbook, not actual books about. Next on the list is The Turn of the Screw by Henry James, which is from the 1800s, barely is from 1898, but it is a horror novella about a governess who tries to protect the children from phantoms. I don't know, again, trying to get into horror, it's one that was recommended. Next on the list is just general Edgar Allan Poe short stories. So all of his stories are short stories, I believe. I had got this at Barnes & Noble years ago, and it wasn't until this year that I started reading them. So I mentioned earlier that I read one last month, and other than that one, I have read Telltale Heart and The Cask of Amontillado in middle school. So like 15 years ago. So I don't remember much. And I never read The Raven, which is like a very, very popular one that I mostly know a little bit about from that one Gilmore Girls episode. So I don't have a summary for those, they're Edgar Allan Poe stories. It is what it is, and my camera is already dying. We're gonna speed run through the next ones then. Next is Nocticadia by Carrie Lake, which is a gothic dark academia romance set in Maine. Sounded fun. I apparently didn't write anything other than that about it. That's one that I'll be getting digitally. I think I have it. It might have been on Kindle Unlimited. Next, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this one. This one just came in the mail today. Thrum by Meg Smitherman. I found this on TikTok, and all I'm going to tell you is what I was told that made me buy it. Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, but a woman, and horror. It's the same concept, but with a horror element. I assume it ends very differently, but like the same beginning concept. She wakes after years in stasis and her entire crew is dead and she's alone. Yet another one that I have started before and never finished is The Secret History by Donna Tartt, which is a dark academia set at an elite college in New England where a group of students discover an exciting and fulfilling life away from the rest of their peers. But the lines of morality become blurred and they discover how hard it can be to truly live and how easy it is to kill. Can you tell I didn't write that one? Next is Ghosts of Harvard by Francesca Saratella. This is about a girl who attends Harvard to get answers about her brother's paranoid schizophrenia and eventual suicide, but finds that she may follow in his footsteps in other ways as she begins to hear voices of her own. This is where I started writing down all my dark academia books that I wanted to read. There's like 3. Oh, and this one also has vampires. It's called Immortal Dark. I did not write down the author, but I'll put the cover in right here so you can see it. An heiress's sister disappears, and the heiress is convinced that the kidnapper is the cruel but captivating vampire bound to their family. To find answers, she enrolls at an elite university. And next is an intimidating one for me, Circe by Madeline Miller. This is a retelling of the Greek myth of Circe, who was banished to a deserted island by Zeus, and there's lots of stories about her meeting people, turning humans into things. She practices the occult, magic and stuff. I'm not 100% sure what the conflict is in this one or who it's with, but I'm excited to read it. I love a Greek mythology retelling. Clearly there's 3 Greek mythology related books in this stack of like 20 books, so I left my intimidating ones till the end. This is another really, really scary one for me. Dune by Frank Herbert. Now this is not scary in that I'm gonna be scared while reading it, but it's scary in that it's this thick. The writing is that big. And it was written so long ago, and everybody who I know who's read it says that it's really dense and kind of hard to get through, especially at the beginning, so but I want to read it. It's a classic. If you don't know what it's about, go watch the movie with Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya. Very good movies. Next is a historical fiction that I just found at the bookstore one day. It's not one that I've seen people talk about, so we'll see how it is. It's called Goodnight Irene by Luis Alberto Urrea. I hope I pronounced your name right. I'm clearly very bad at it. So this is set in 1943 at the end of World War II, and it's about a woman who abandons her abusive fiancé in New York to enlist in the Red Cross and go to Europe. She becomes a part of the Donut Dollies, who provide camaraderie and a taste of home before the troops head into battle. And then after D-Day, Irene and her new friend Dorothy join the Allied soldiers streaming into France. I assume that means that they move there. I did copy that sentence from Goodreads, but I assume that means that they move to France. And then there's some other stuff. She falls in love, I think, and there's tension and everything that'll come right after a war, and your basic historical fiction kind of things, I think. The final book on my fall TBR, which, by the way, fall TBR means now through Thanksgiving, so November. That's 3 whole months. That's why there's so many books. 15th and final book is My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Moshfegh. Again, I am so sorry if I mispronounced your name. My Year of Rest and Relaxation is about a young girl who has seemingly everything going for her, who decides to spend a year under the influence of a combination of drugs designed to heal her from her alienation from the world. And it's set in 2000, which is fun. I didn't realize that this was not historical, but not super contemporary, you know? So that is it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you plan on reading this fall, if you have any idea what you're reading. Give it a like if you want to, and subscribe if you want to see my face again. That's it. Thanks for watching. Okay, love you, bye.